Hello and welcome back to the channel. The fly we've got today is a small attractor pattern called a Mad Hatter, and I think it's by far the easiest fly to tie in the series. It just uses two materials plus the hook and the thread, and it's ideal for beginners to start practicing. You should be able to do it in a few minutes, to be honest. So really simple fly. The basics of it are the size 10 B175 hook. This is a Kamasan. It could be anything, any heavy weight hook, sort of wet fly hook around that size. The thread I'll use will be black UTC 70, like most of the flies that I tie. I create the body first because I like to have a good base for the fly to sit on, and I nick the tag with a scalpel blade and continue the thread to pretty much opposite where the thread lines up with the barb. Now the tail and body are this DRF toe signal green, or it's more like a cat's whisker green wool, and I had this many years ago. I think originally it was used for tying egg flies. So I split the yarn into two and just use one strand of the yarn. So I'm pulling down on the thread quite tight here to trap the wool. The wool does have this tendency to spin round the shank a bit. So I'm trying to get it trapped down there as much as I can. And it is a little bit fluffy and a little bit difficult to use, but you soon get the hang of it. So I'll wrap the rest of the thread again over the shank, just trapping any bits I've missed in the first place, and then I'm going to apply a small or a thin layer of varnish. This helps the wool adhere to the hook, but it also gives it a bit of protection from rust. Wool does tend to soak up water, and then the contact of the water with the hook, and sometimes you'll see the little brown marks coming through. So I start off by twisting it just to get the wool going, and then I unwrap the yarn so it's nice and flat in a similar way that you do it with thread, really, just to get that nice flat coverage. You can see it's really smooth, and it's sort of like the shape of a small fish. Rather than being totally parallel, I like it in this shape. If you want to, you can build it up parallel, but I've found it more effective by doing it this way. So I'm just taking the extra fluff out of the tail that we don't need, and what I like to do is run a dubbing needle or a bodkin or any form of needle that you've got really through the tail before I pull it tight and then snip it off. Find this length about right, to be honest. It's a bit past the hook shank, but it's a nice length. So now we're ready to cut the other end of the wool off, and we're going to apply a wing. Now it's a type of marabou, really. It's called a schlappen feather, which I believe is used in lures a lot, but I find these are ideal because they have a lot of nice fluffy fibres at the bottom of the feather. I've just wet the fibres here just to make them easy to control and to make sure that I've got the right length, which should be going just past the length of the tail. And then I get the scissors underneath the waist and trim it off. Now I've just tidied this up a little bit more, and I'm going to apply the two whip finishes, and the fly is virtually done. So as I say, if you use it as a top dropper fly or a point fly, it works really well, particularly when it's cold, when the water's cold and there's a bit of sun on it. I apply the two whip finishes again for security, all the time for my customers. I've just nipped off the thread again with the scalpel. I'll apply some varnish now just to seal the thread and give it a little bit of shine, and that's about it. It's a really simple fly to tie, but you can soon create lots for your fly box. Give it a try and let me know how you get on. That's it for now. Thanks. Goodbye.